Look, Canon is a great system with, I think, a lot of tiny little challenges. And every time I think of buying into the Canon system, I think of those niggles, I think of those problems and challenges, and I hold myself back. And I know that that's a reality of a lot of Canon users when they look at their own system, and a lot of non-Canon users who look at Canon as a right path to go, and they can't because those problems exist. First of all, forget everything else. There are difficulties with hot swapping batteries, there are difficulties with the ergonomics at times. There are things, right? And biggest thing that stand out for me is really Canon's approach to the lack of third-party lenses. It's a big issue, it's a big deal. But here I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that most of Canon's entry-level lenses are not that good. If you look at Panasonic, they got a very good series of 1.8 lenses. They're all similarly weighted, they're all similarly sized. They're made keeping a certain kind of usage in mind. If you look at Nikon, they give you 1.8 S-line lenses who are absolutely excellent. At a very similar pricing, they'll also offer you 1.4 lenses which are not S-line lenses. Sony is yet to really revamp their old series of 1.8, 35, 50, 85 lenses, and even I think they've also the 135, 1.8. So if you look at all these brands, all of them have very good budget-friendly entry-level lenses. When it comes to Canon, I miss that. I generally don't feel that I can pick up any Canon 1.8 lens and think this is the best Canon has to offer. They're affordable lenses, but with quite a few compromises. Now, if you look at the other end, what if I now want to have the best possible lens? Well, I can't look for third-party lenses because third-party autofocus lenses are not available for the Canon RF mount. Then what do? I look at the expensive 1.2 or primes or 2.8 zooms or f2 zooms, and again, but they're very expensive. They're very good lenses, but they're not built that well, and most of them protrude out. They have noisy autofocus motors. They just kind of feel clunky and not as refined as other top two brands, Sony and Nikon. So for me, the lens issue, the Canon system is a big issue. So if I am to look at Canon now, I have to understand that Canon is going to compensate for all these issues around lenses with what they provide in the camera body. And R5II is good, but I have the Z8, and especially with video, I think the Z8 is better than the R5II. The Z8 has 8K 60 and 4K 60 downsampled and no line skipped. The Canon R5II doesn't have that, right? So I'm looking forward to the R6III really with eagerness. I'm thinking that they have to get a few things right. First of all, Canon have done decent job with R5II's IBIS system. Canon needs to get the IBIS right. Canon needs to take their IBIS performance almost to the level of Lumix. So fantastic IBIS performance is a deal clincher for me. Second thing, they have to provide us a C-Log 2 and 15 stops or more dynamic range. More if possible, but yeah, I'm happy with 15 stops dynamic range. Of course, that can only be unlocked with a C-Log 2. And lastly, the third big point about the expectation from the R6III is 4K or 6K 60 internal without line skip. And that part is very important. We want one camera from Canon that does not have line skipping in 4K 60. And 6K has to be internal and not external. So all these things are going to make the Canon R6II a very good package. I'm going to get into the details in the next part of the video, but these are the fundamental things that Canon needs to get right. Once you do that, I think a lot of people like me will be able to look past the problems around lens. Even look at the Canon 1.4 L line lenses. All of them are bendy. All of them have crazy distortions. And therefore, according to me, a lot of things are going wrong on the lens front for Canon. And I want that compensated in the camera body. Welcome to Frames TN. Let's talk about in detail what will make the R6T an unput-downable camera. And I think it's time for Canon to rise up to these expectations as well. Well, I started with Canon's compromises on the lens front, right? I said that no third-party lens is a big deal, but then even if you look past that, there are these facts of, the entry-level lenses are too basic and the top-end lenses kind of feel clunky. They don't feel that well finished, well done. Therefore, I need the cameras to be absolutely stunning and superlative to forget all of that. I have a few things in mind. I talked about three things, right? I started by saying IBs has to be fantastic, the dynamic range and still up to no line skipping in 4K and 6K 60. All of it has to be done. First of all, whatever Canon does with R6II, there is rumor that it's going to be a 30 or a 33 megapixel sensor body. Great. But just like Sony did with the 33 megapixel A7 IV, they had to go with a crop 4K 60. We don't want that. Canon R6III has to beat A7 IV 6K and there's no 6K 4K 60 crop. Of course, the R6II does not have that crop, so there's precedence. Canon can't go back, and I would like them to match Nikon Z6III's 6K 60 raw internal without any line skipping. There is also an opportunity for Canon R6III to outdo the Z6III by providing 4K 120 with no crop. Remember, the Z6III, fantastic camera, but the 4K 120 has an APS-C crop, and there's an opportunity for Canon now to actually outdo that, not have that. Even the S1 II has kind of horizontal crop on top and bottom when it comes to 4K 120. I think that's an opportunity. That's what pushes Canon or the next Sony forward when it comes to 4K 120. Also, it's just a wish. Can they provide S12's open gate even in 30 frames a second? If they can't do for 60 frames per second, it's okay. Can you start with providing open gate? Can you start with providing anamorphic de-squeeze in the cameras? Those are the important things to learn from Panasonic Lumix. And to be honest, at this point when Canon is launching the R6III, they know that the R6III is going to be the primary video body when the R5II is going to remain the primary photo camera. Also, the screen is going to be important. I think going forward, most screens will have to cater to the dual purpose of shooting for other people and shooting for yourself. So you need the flip screen, but at the same time, you want the screen to be centered and not flip it out all the time. So the hybrid screen that you see in the Sony bodies, the A12, A9 III, the A7R5, where we saw it the first time, that screen is important. Lumix have integrated that similar sort of screen for that S1 series of bodies, S1 to S1R2 and S12E. So that seems to be the direction that brands should go forward to. That's the path to take for Sony and Nikon as well, for all camera bodies. Since Canon is launching a camera now, they should not miss out on that, because if you do that, definitely not going to have that for R8 II, and that means we have to wait for another iteration of Canon cameras, which is another 3 more years away. Having said all of this, the final deal clincher is going to be the pricing. I do feel that Canon has been pricing the cameras a bit more aggressively for what they're offering, honestly. I think the R5 II is expensive for what it is, especially given the Z8's price, by the way. And the R6II's price for the longest time have been very, very aggressive. And now they have brought the prices down because, Z6III. I do think this time around, Canon has to play it smart. I think Lumix's S12 body using the Z6III's semi-stacked sensor has not been priced right. They should have brought the price down to $2,600 US, $2,500 US, and it has been a success. It would have become a much 3 to 4 times bigger success had they got the pricing right. Canon needs to do that. We know that they're not going to put from the rumors, going by the rumors, we know that Canon R6 is not going to come with a stacked sensor. That's going to save some cost. If it's that old RP or Canon R sensor, just update it with better dynamic range, faster read speed across the sensor, but without making it a stacked or semi-stacked sensor. I think the 30 megapixels sensor can be available to Canon a little bit more affordably, more cost effectively, and the Canon should try to pass that benefit to the customer and try to sort of price the camera at around $2,500 US. I think this series, the 6 bodies, R7, A7 bodies, should not really go beyond the 2,500 price bracket. It makes sense for the Lumix S1 series, because if you look at that S5 series, it's still priced at $1,700, $1,800 US, which is very, very competitive. So Canon should not be in this delusion that the price point for the R6 bodies have changed. People really expect those bodies to be around $2,000 to $2,500 US, especially in inflationary economies like this. It's very important to price the products right. So yeah, that's where I want to leave this conversation. Let me know what you think. I think if Canon gets these things right, I'll be really looking at the R6III with a lot of positivity. And I would feel that for the first time, we have a Canon camera that does not have weird compromises. And but these things are non-negotiable. The price is non-negotiable, because if you don't do that, if you put some compromise on the camera, then I'm going to start to think, hey, I have compromised on the lens ecosystem, then I have compromised on the camera. No, it's not worth my time. Also, it's expensive, and I think Canon is in a position to address these issues. Yeah, subscribe to the channel and help me reach 10,000 subscribers soon. If you're a Canon fan, if you're a Canon shooter, do you think what I'm saying is unacceptable? Do you think these expectations or demands, they're not really demands, these expectations are unreasonable, or do you think these are fair expectations for one to have in 2025 from a new Canon 2000 to 2500 US dollars camera? Do you think these are fair expectations? I think they are. Let me know what you think. I'm going to see you soon with another one. With these changes, I'm going to really pick up an R6II and probably some used 1.8 lenses initially. If I like them, I'll probably go for the 2.8. Newly launched 28 to 70, 75 Canon. Then I'll see. Yeah, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to see you soon with another one.